Hello. So today I thought I would do a video based upon probably one of my favourite Rumi quotes. I'm a massive Rumi fan, if you could call me that. But I think it's really helpful for us to really find that faith and that trust and surrender into knowing that everything is working together for our good. So Rumi said, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you, and do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come? So he's saying, don't label what's going on as bad or even good. Just let life live through you. Surrender, essentially. It's what encapsulates the name of this channel and why I changed it, is to let go and realize that our ego mind isn't in control. There is something much bigger that is guiding us. We can only, like Steve Jobs says, connect the dots looking backwards. And when I look back at things in my life, I think, wow, there has been so many dots connected, but you never see it at the time, right? And I encourage you to do this with your life, map out the timelines and some important things that have, either shifted you, that weren't anything really to do with your conscious choice, but it led you on a path to then study something or to do something, and then it led you to this person or that. And you'll see that there is an underlying order, even if some experiences may seem chaotic or not what you would have chosen, right? So I first started studying consciousness after, unfortunately, my 6-year-old cousin passed away from a brain tumour. And what led me to that was that he was saying in his final days, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm fine. The door's open and I'm going to be okay, Mum. And he could see lights, he could see things, although he was, clinically blind because of where the tumour was. He, at that age, seemed to see something else or be going somewhere else. And that led me to question, well, what is consciousness? Where is it? Where is our awareness? Are we just the brain, or are we just the mind? And then that led me on to studying consciousness and transpersonal psychology. And then after that, when I kind of started researching more into the power of intention specifically, I was looking at near-death experiences and all of that kind of stuff. That's when I thought, I want to set up an online magazine on the power of the mind and the consciousness. And I set up this online magazine called Whole Science. And that was okay. It did okay, but I think I mentioned in the post the other day, I didn't know what I was doing with the subscription business. I was like 23, something like that, and I was producing all this content, charging, I think it was like $4.95 a month or something like that. I was doing book reviews, I was doing interviews, I was going to conferences, I was, doing so much and really, really believed in it. But because I had to just get something else, and again, you could say, well, that's a bad situation because, it didn't work. But what happened from that, because I built that in WordPress and I had WordPress experience, that led me to get a job at Manchester Business School. And that's when I got involved in the video department, and I was creating videos and getting involved in interviewing people. And just kind of being surrounded in this sort of, cameras and studios and filming, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That part of it anyway. I didn't like the other parts of it necessarily, but that part of it I really, really, really loved. And then I was in Manchester and did the rave scene and all of that sort of stuff. And not long, and when I was coming to the end of my time in Manchester, and I'd just moved, I had another bad experience. I had a car crash and a lorry went into the back of me, and luckily I walked away okay, and the other person did as well. But it left me with spinal issues, and then I had an incident a couple of years after that when I travelled, and I'd been lifting a backpack and whatever. But that, because I couldn't go out, I couldn't, walk around. I was in a wheelchair for a bit, even though that was a very traumatic experience and a very scary experience. It led me with no choice. Well, how am I going to work? I'm going to look online, and then I found Upwork. I'd already, prior to that happening, done one job on there, and it paid me decently. And now I've been earning more or less a consistent income, even though it does go up and down, on there since 2016. And yeah, I don't know what I would have done without it. And it led me to become a freelance writer, which is what I was, that was bubbling inside me, is that I wanted to write and I wanted to travel and become a digital nomad. And so I did do that. And it's so interesting how these little zigzags, and they all connect together, right? Because then when I was traveling, I was having like synchronistic experiences. You feel like that very much when you're in the zone of traveling. And then, obviously, since then, I've had a few more issues, health issues. And then that led me to looking for somewhere to live when I got better. And it led me here. And now I live in a meditation centre. Again, ironically, studying consciousness. And those were the choices that I made, but they were also kind of nudges, sometimes shoves, right? Sometimes shoves onto particular paths. But it's all working together. And sometimes we see something and we think, this isn't what I would have chosen. But it ultimately leads us onto a greater path if we can take the positives from it, and if we can look for the gold in our experience and look for the lesson in our experience as well. And I'd love to know if there were any points in your life where you could see, just like Rumi says, that you let life live through you and things changed for the better, and then you realised that situation had to happen that way. Let me know. I'd love to hear.